Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 259 of the Civil Gore Podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And we feel weird because this is like the first actual real show we've had in a while due to just some crazy things. And our schedule's not going to get much better in the next couple of weeks, but we figured we had to get out at least one regular episode here. So we forced it a little bit the night before to make sure we got you something. And I think it's a movie that's it's perfect for one of those like quick episodes. One is fun. We're gonna do Cocaine Bear, which Tim finally got to see now that it's available on Peacock, along with actually the documentary of the real story, which is kind of cool. I want to kind of check that out when I get a moment. Because of course, based on a true story. As crazy as it sounds, it is true. So I'd love to check out that documentary.
Yeah, and we still owe you guys a New Jersey HorrorCon recap, of course. But
that's Ken's fault because Ken's been traveling all over the place.
Trying to get four people scheduled when our schedules are already so screwed up has been quite a challenge. And we also got a Chainsaw Awards coming up next month. That we got to do a roundtable for that as well. So we got some good stuff coming up.
And that's gonna be fun because it's gonna be the four of us. Of course, Emily will join us, and Jeff Whitmire said he'd join us. I think we're gonna make that really festive, almost like a fun or we may do that episode and then maybe do some kind of or maybe we'll do it in a pre-show format somehow, so we can make it really festive with themed drinks and everything. We'll let you guys know because we actually Tim has invented. Well, actually, I don't know if he's invented it. It's probably been around.
I took it over, I guess.
Yeah, Tim took it over. It's how we have the Civil Gore, which is our official drink, which is a whiskey sour with 3 cherries. Tim decided to mix it up and make a whiskey sour, half whiskey sour, half amaretto sour with 3 cherries. So that's called the Civil Gore Tim. And that's funny because that drink has been staring me in the face essentially because Julie likes her amaretto sours. I like my whiskey sours. So a lot of times we'll each we'll make each other our drinks and split it. And Tim decided to mix them the other day, and I'm like, you know what? Yesterday I was like, I'm kind of in the mood, and I have to tell you, it's a good mix. It blends really well.
It's really good, yeah. It really brings out the cherry too.
It does. It makes it it makes the drink flavorful. It adds a whole nother flavor to it. So we'll list those kind of things. We'll have because I think we'll make sure everyone has their signature drink. Yeah. Along with the podcast drink, I think we know everybody's. I don't know, what would Cone's be? We need to ask Cone what his.
We got to ask Cone. Yeah, it's got to come from the heart. It's got to come from the individual. So we'll have to come up with a whole drink list. That'll be fun.
Yeah, and we'll just make it so it's really festive, and we'll do a fun preview show, and of course it'll be fun to watch it. We'll probably tweet along while we watch it too, of course, to make that special. So yeah, we'll have lots of fun coming up, of course, and then our summer vacation, which we teased as something really special. And I think this year is going to be one of the more unique summer vacations. I mean, usually we have semi themes, but I think this one will kind of blow you out of the water with a cool little twist on the summer vacation genre, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun to promo that one.
Yes, and so keep an eye out on social media because you may get clues and hints and stuff like that. And who knows, maybe there'll even be prizes if you guess what's coming and stuff like that. We'll make it fun.
I've got a big prize closet, so I'm eager to start sending some stuff out and get it out of my prize closet. So
yes. Unfortunately, Paul Blart will not be one of the prizes because it's packed.
Unless I can find it. If I can find it in the Dollar Tree, I'll pick one up for the prize
I'm
closet.
Sure you'll not only find that, but Paul Blart 1 in the Dollar Tree. You might find the 2-pack.
All right, well, let's get right into it. This is our first chop. All right, Brian, I watched a lot of stuff. I've been going through David Weiner's In Search of Darkness list, and I've just been randomly picking movies and watching them. And this is where most of these came from. The first one I'm going to talk about is not from that list. This is one that was mentioned by Rebecca McKendry on the Colors of the Dark podcast, which I highly recommend if you don't check that one out regularly. And this one's called DIMLAND from 2021. And the reason she watched it is because there's a big talk right now of liminal horror with Skinamarink was considered liminal horror, and you hear about
what does that mean exactly? I've heard that. Yeah, I've seen that term. But
yeah, it's just like the whole concept of liminal spaces, which are like spaces that just make you feel weird. They're creepy. You see these pictures of like abandoned office buildings and that kind of thing. And liminal horror is more a movie that is designed to make you feel a certain way versus necessarily a plot. So like Skinamarink is really, it's just invoking a feeling of fear more than it's telling a story. And that's kind of what liminal horror is.
Yeah, and I wonder if that one I saw, Landline, is considered. That's kind of borderline. I mean, there is a little bit of a plot to it, but at the same time, I think it's done through visuals in this old house and through the camera like sees like the past and stuff. So that might be considered that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's something I'm kind of curious
horror
about.
comes up with the best subgenres, doesn't it?
I know, and it's funny how it comes in waves, and you start seeing a lot of the same kind of things. Like I would say that what is that movie about the World's Fair? All of Us Are Going to the World's Fair or something. I'd almost put that in that category in a way, not quite in terms of like atmosphere, but in terms of just like not really heavily plot driven. It's just designed to make you feel uneasy. I kind of throw that one in there.
So the amusement park too, I guess, would be considered that, right? Because that kind of made us feel uncomfortable. That really has a very small plot point, other than this guy going to the amusement park. But obviously, it's a lot of undertones, and it makes it very uncomfortable. It makes it very disorienting for a short film there. So I mean, I guess that could be considered that too.
I think you could make an argument. You know, like all these genres are so flexible and malleable. It's kind of hard to pigeonhole anything into one genre or the other. So I'm sure you could make that argument.
So now you have these directors that were minimalists. Now they're going to be liminalists.
Yeah, liminalists. This one is called DIMLAND, and it is about a woman who's suffering from some depression. She's with her boyfriend, and they're kind of I wouldn't say they're having issues, but they're she's not happy. She's having some she's having some blues, and she decides to cure this. She's going to go up to this cabin that she used to go to as a child with her parents. And when they get there, they find that the cabin has been torn down and it's been replaced by this kind of ugly house. But they stay there anyway. And while she's there, they encounter this thing. I don't know what it is. It's somebody in an owl mask, a very creepy owl mask. And
I think I saw like images from this actually.
Yeah, his name is Rue, and you never really know what he is. Is he some kind of deity, forest deity? Is he a real person? Is he a spirit? Is he a demon? We don't know. And she starts remembering that she knew him when she was a child. And there's really no big plot. It's more just her interactions with Rue and coming to terms with remembering some stuff about her childhood. And I'm sure you could make some easy conclusions that Rue is a stand-in for her depression or whatever. I don't know, but it's I didn't completely 100% on board with it, and I think it's one of those movies. I think even Rebecca McKendry said this on Colors of the Dark, that it's one of those movies you're either going to hate it or you're going to love it. I honestly felt a little bit in between. I like the concept. I don't know if it ever went anywhere that was satisfying enough for me. So,
I'll tell you, if anyone wants to see it, it's playing like everywhere on streaming. It's literally on Paramount
everywhere.
Plus, MGM Plus, Roku, Vudu, Tubi, and Plex, all for free. If you have certain services you pay for, but like for free, it's Vudu, Tubi, and because it's one of those Vudu free ones. So Vudu and Tubi and Plex are free, so you can probably catch it on there. So,
and I would check it out if you're interested in liminal horror, because I can see where that tag gets put on this film, because there are some sequences that are very liminal spaces type imagery, where they're out in the woods and stuff. So it's worth watching and draw your own conclusions from. It's not a bad film by any means, but it's kind of just know what you're getting when you go in there. It's not very plot heavy. It's very more about the feeling. That one was that was a liminal horror. Let's completely switch gears to 1981's Cannibal Ferox. And this is the kind of the sister to Cannibal Holocaust. And some people say it's a prequel to Cannibal Holocaust. I watched the one on Tubi, and the one on Tubi basically cuts out most of the animal cruelty. I say
Good.
most. Yeah, I won't watch these films when they keep the animal cruelty in. I don't want to see that, and I won't watch it. I didn't watch the uncut Cannibal Holocaust either. That's one thing I just refused to watch. And fortunately, I was double checking this one and like had my finger on the fast forward if I ever saw any kind of that stuff. And there are some like brief sequences, but they're not actually showing. They might show the end result, but they're not showing the actual animal cruelty. So the Tubi version, I think, is fairly safe. But again, take that with a grain of salt. Don't completely 100% trust me on that, because I did have my hand on the fast forward and I was hitting the 30-second skip if I thought there was anywhere close to anything showing. And this one is, if you've seen Cannibal Holocaust, it's very, very similar. Very similar plot, very similar. The effects aren't as good as Cannibal Holocaust. Everything about it is just not quite as good. Like the music's not as good. The effects aren't as good. Between the two, Cannibal Holocaust is definitely deservedly the more classic of the two. But if you still want some more early cannibal movies in your life, then this is definitely, you could see where Green Hell got all that influence from this movie and Cannibal Holocaust. I mean, it's got all that stuff that you would expect in a early 80s or late 70s cannibal movie.
Oh, and it's Umberto Lenzi, not Deodato. So
right,
different guy doubled together.
Different director. It's very, again, it's almost like a knockoff type thing. And I don't know the story.
It's on Screenbox too. Okay.
Yeah, I think I watched it on Tubi, but I don't know what version the Screenbox version is. So just be careful when you're watching if you're looking for the non-animal cruelty one.
Yeah. Well, I looked at. It's funny. I don't know if you ever look at. Sometimes you look. If IMDb does a good list of like things. Like under the parental thing, it's called. I think Parents Guide, and it has violence, gore, profanity, alcohol, drugs, sex, and nudity. But it's funny because I think it's done by, not like by it's almost like a Wikipedia where other people add to it. It's because it's pretty kind of funny. Pretty funny the way they write some of the things. Like, just for example, one, like in the violence gore, they do say, yes, animal were harmed. It says, women mentions a man forced on her to make an abortion. Like, it's like worded really weird. It's almost like your thing. But this is one of my, under the sex and nudity is pretty funny. It says, a conversation takes place with a woman agreeing to go with an older man for a shower. And then it says some tribal butts and a few beef tribal breasts shown, non-sexual.
Tribal breasts.
It's pretty funny, like, if you read these sometimes, because I literally think it's the people that write your synopsises, Tim, for the dismemberments.
Yeah.
Because some of it's worded so weirdly.
That's hilarious.
It is good, though, by the way, for parents, if not obviously you're not, most parents are not going to say, hey, it's Cannibal Ferox night here at the household. We're going to watch this. But, for any movie that you're questionable, you want to see if there's any questionable takes, the IMDb actually is a good source for that, to go through that. So
yeah. Next
that's
up,
my little one to grow on moment of the evening.
Next up was Slime City from 1988. I did not expect anything out of this movie. It looks like super low budget.
Like Nickelodeon.
Yeah, I mean, the cover almost looks like that. And it's very similar to Street Trash, if you've seen that one. But this one's extremely low budget and everything. But it's one of those movies that I love running across, where despite you going into it thinking it's just going to be completely forgettable, it's actually really good. I really, really like this one. It's about a guy that moves into this apartment complex. And he is invited over. Has kind of his weird neighbor makes this like stuff he basically calls like a kind of yogurt, and it looks like slime. And he gets the guy to eat some of it. And after the guy eats some of it, he turns into this like deformed slime monster guy that goes around killing people. But there's something about it. I don't know if it's the performances or the writing or whatever. It just goes to show that sometimes the most innocuous, low budget, like forgettable, you would think, movie, just somehow something works about it. And I totally love this movie. I thought it was great. So check that one out. I think that one's also on Tubi. I think all of these are on Tubi.
It is,
actually.
Yeah. This one's on Tubi. And again, go read the Parents Guide for some funny little comments about the way the descriptors on this film. I won't read this. I don't want to spoil it for everyone always, but go look at this one.
I'm going to skip the next one because I'm saving the best for last. The next one up is Mother of Tears. I won't spend a lot of time on this one. This is from 2007. Mother of Tears is the third in the Suspiria trilogy. So there was Suspiria, then there was Inferno, Mother of Tears was kind of the last entry in the Suspiria trilogy because it's talking about the witches, and you got Argento's daughter is playing the lead character in this one, and she's battling the forces of the Mother of Tears, which is one of the witches. And it's okay. It's I love Suspiria. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. But this one, a late era Argento, just I don't think he was ever quite as good as those early films. So this one, it's entertaining, but nothing to write home about. It's fairly forgettable. And then the next one up that was not forgettable, one that I had missed my whole life, but I like this VHS cover is like emblazoned in my mind because if you've ever seen the cover of Parents from 1989 with Randy Quaid, it's a iconic box cover, and I used to always look at this box cover and wonder about this movie. I finally got around to watching it, and it's pretty crazy. It's a kind of a brilliant satire on kind of that 50s Leave It to Beaver type family. It's got a very weird style to it, of course. Randy Quaid, I can't remember who plays his wife, but they're very creepy, cannibalistic type parents, and then you got this kind of innocent kid who's kind of trying to deal with living with them. Very stylized horror comedy, and the only thing I didn't like, I really loved the movie, but I didn't think it really satisfyingly wrapped everything up to my. It's one of those movies I think is more for the aesthetic and the journey than it is the ending. So.
It was Mary Beth Hurt, by the way.
Mary Beth Hurt, yes.
That's right.
That
plays the wife.
So this one, I really, really liked it. I liked the style and everything. I thought it was great, but it's one of those that I think it's more. It's one of those movies that's kind of more for the aesthetic than anything. I'm saving the best for last. This is Invitation to Hell from 1984, which is a ridiculous title for this movie because it has nothing to do with hell.
But does it invite you to something?
This was so great. This is like the most 80s movie ever. In 1984, it was a made-for-TV movie starring Robert Urich and Susan Lucci, of all people.
Oh, this is the one you were kind of telling us about as you were watching it, yeah.
So Robert Urich is this... he works for this company that designs like spacesuits or something. He designed a spacesuit that's going to go to Venus or something, and it has like all this weaponry and stuff on it, which of course plays into things later. And Susan Lucci plays the head of this country club, this exclusive country club that everybody wants to join. And of course, Robert Urich's wife, she wants to join. He has kids. The kids are played by Punky Brewster. Slay Moon Fry is the daughter, and I can't remember the kid's name, but the kid from Neverending Story is the son. So how much more 80s can you get there?
Yeah, I mean...
and he's playing... the kid plays this video game that's like straight out of the 80s, like some kind of Space Invader type game. And this movie turns into this weird, like... Instantly, Susan Lucci has powers because she gets run over by a car. This guy is distracted by these bikini babes and runs over her, and she just like pops right back up and melts his face. So that's how the movie starts.
What? That's okay. So is she like a super like?
Yeah, she's like she has like some kind of like powers. So you automatically know this country club is not what it seems. And then it turns into this whole like Stepford Wives type thing. So them like wanting to get this family indoctrinated into this country club cult kind of thing. And Robert Urich's kind of fighting it because he thinks he knows something's up, but he doesn't quite know what. And his wife is like, I don't want to be in the country club. Like, why are you fighting this kind of thing? So that's like a lot of the movie. So don't get me wrong. It's not like this action-packed thrill ride because a lot of the movie is just like marital infighting about whether or not to join this country club. But there's something just so charmingly 80s and cheesy about this movie, and then the ending is just completely off the wall bonkers. And this was made for TV, so it has that sheen of made for TV cheesiness to it. I love this one. It's on Tubi. Go check this one out. Invitation to Hell, 1984. It's a bizarre little gem of a movie, and I absolutely loved it. So thanks again.
Like that one. What was that one we watched? We all watched it somehow on Netflix with the Kristen Davis, where she's smoking the cigars all the time.
Oh my God! No, that was that weird Netflix movie.
Yeah, that was like that's a good example of what Tim's talking about. When you say screams of made for TV, although that one would not have hit network because of some.
But it has that weird melodrama to it.
Yeah.
And
like the weird fade outs, like where you think a commercial would be.
Yeah.
Like you ever see those, the ones where like it was like meant for TV, but then at the last minute they decide to put it on a cable network, so you kind of see where they were going to edit for the commercial, but it doesn't go. It's kind of funny. Those always crack me up. So I only got to really watch one movie, and it's funny, and it took me a while, not because of I didn't enjoy it, but because of just the move, like literally things came up, and I like barely had time to like really relax and watch it until the other day, and that was Knock at the Cabin. Of course, that's the latest M. Night Shyamalan vehicle, which pretty much he puts out a movie, I'm gonna watch it. He's so good, and this one with the cast is great too. I mean, I gotta hand it to you, like Dave Bautista. These wrestlers, people are shocked at when wrestlers like make this jump into the movies and TV. But when you think of it, why? When half of their talent is supposed to be is acting, when you see it, they have to show those because they're always putting on the skits and storylines and stuff. So, I don't know why people are so surprised because,
it's not a big leap.
Yeah, and if you ever watch any of those documentaries or read anything about, like, the world of professional wrestling, they don't just look for, you have to have in-ring skills, but, if you can do all these acrobatics and all this stuff, you're going to have a much different career than someone that possibly can go out there and work a microphone and be able to do these things. Like Dwayne Johnson, of course, is one of these guys. And I really think that, John Cena, of course, is now it's a comedy gold whenever he's in anything.
I loved Peacemaker. Which is his
I haven't got to watch that yet, but just some other stuff that I saw him in, the Suicide Squad, and then, when he was in, Trainwreck and that movie Blockers, he was hilarious in that. And so people don't be surprised with his skills. But anyway, and of course Dave Bautista, mostly known for Guardians of the Galaxy, which he was great in at Drax. But he's very one note character. But in this, he definitely you can see his acting chops, and I thought he did a great job. And the only reason I mention him first is because I have a feeling that's where people will go to a little bit in terms of how is he? Why is he in a movie like this? He does a great job in it. Basically, the bottom line is, I don't know how much I should give away in this. It's one of these movies, and it's not like a typical M. Night Shyamalan where there's a big twist at the end. Really, I mean, there's a little bit of like, well, is this going to happen or is this not going to happen? You know who's lying. It's more of almost like a horror mystery thriller kind of thing, where you're not sure who's telling the truth kind of thing and what's going on. But so I want to go. I don't want to go too much into it because I want you should be kind of go into that movie fresh. Like I purposely went in not knowing anything about it, and I think that's the way to go into this. I think where it ranks in terms of other M. Night Shyamalan films is tough because you're so used to him doing that big reveal at the end, or something, and this one's just a little different. But I have to tell you, I really enjoyed it. So whether it was the cast was really good in it, or just the kind of there's one plot point which I don't want to mention, but it's kind of like one of these things that I always kind of like movies that go into that kind of stuff. So I'm not gonna just one of the. I mean, it is like kind of the main plot point, I should say, that's going on in the background of this movie. But but definitely, I think you should everyone should check this one out, especially if you like M. Night Shyamalan. He just does a good job. It's a good, solid director.
I read the book, so I'm going in kind of.
Oh, so kind of then. Oh, I can tell you. I just want to tell it to be.
Yeah, so I'm curious I'm curious if the movie follows exactly the whole twists and stuff from the book. So. We'll see.
Yeah, but see what I mean? It's not like the typical M. Night Shyamalan twist.
Right,
so it's a different kind of twist. Next thing I want to mention is just because and I owe her to post this on Instagram because everyone's been, she asked everyone to post it, but our good friend Becky Ann Galantine, who we had on the show, who's a paranormal expert extraordinaire and definitely talking board enthusiast. As she has that massive collection. She came up with a really cool shirt design. She had a limited run on the shirts, so I wanted to buy one, help her out. And so I'll show this on Instagram. I have to put it on, but it's cool because it's like basically there was a picture she did at one point where she was sitting kind of on a with like this these like striped leggings kind of on a gravestone type of deal in the cemetery. And so someone made that into like a cartoonish version where it's like her, but like as a ghost. And she's holding like a little like pumpkin, like pail, like a trick or treat pail. And under it on the tombstone says My Bloody Galentine. And so the shirt's really cool, but she also made some stickers, which she sent with the shirt, but I ordered an extra set. You can still order it on, I think it's on her Pinterest page or Etsy page. I always get the two confused, so I apologize. I don't know which one it is. I think it's Etsy, right? It's the one where you actually order stuff.
Yeah.
And so she has a page there where you can order the stickers too. I think it's like $6, and you get two really cool stickers. One, which is the exact same thing on the shirt, and the other is like a little tombstone sticker that says My Bloody Galentine on it. So yeah, I know she was really happy that these got sold, and a lot of people have been posting, so you could see it. But once I get a chance, I'll put it on and post a thing. She also even like when she ordered her sticker, she actually wrote like a handwritten card. Like it's very rare. Like I think people writing handwritten cards these days, it's like really nice. Or if you get a card like to actually add a note. Like remember we were so touched when like Xanthi Pajarillo, when she came on the show, she actually sent us each card afterwards.
Yeah,
thanking us for having her on. I'm like, how that is such an awesome kind of thing to go back to do something so like just like, old school kind of thing, and like tactile, But yeah, she wrote a little note, says, "Thank you for all your support, Becky," on it, and wrote like a whole bunch of little tombstones that say thank you in all different ways. Like one says thanks, one says THX, one says thank you. So it's really cute little like card she sent, she hand wrote. So yeah, so definitely follow her social media out. She's got some great little, great videos, great posts, great stories, and go back and listen to that episode if you want another taste of how cool Becky Ann Galentine is.
Nice.
So I guess the next thing we'll just finish up before we get into the movie is we have a promo, which you might have seen us post on social media, but we always have a one copy to read, and that is Don't Miss McKaylee Miller, Anne Heche, and our good friend Dermot Mulroney. And I only say good friend because, of course, of the way we joke about his name and the whole Saturday Night Live skit of Dylan McDermott. This one's got McKaylee Miller also, so there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. But anyway, Don't Miss McKaylee Miller, Anne Heche, and Dermot Mulroney in the pulse-pounding thriller You're Killing Me. When Eden attends a heaven or hell party, hoping to get a letter of recommendation to an elite university from the wealthy parents of her classmate, the party quickly turns into a fight for her life. You're Killing Me is available now to buy or rent. And when you're listening to this tomorrow, keep an eye out this week because we will be giving away I think 4 digital copies we have to give away. And I think this time it's on Vudu rental codes this time. It's usually been on Redbox, but I think these I noticed or actually you can do Vudu/Fandango rentals. So if that's more your preferred choice of rental codes, we now have you covered with that. So
nice. All right, well, let's get into our main feature. This is, of course, a movie that was very popular this year. It's fun seeing post-pandemic it's almost like the theater movies seem more blockbustery somehow. I don't know what it is, but it seems like with the theaters, like people finally going back to the theater, it feels like almost every movie is an event now that hits big. And this one was certainly one of those that everybody was talking about. That was, of course, Cocaine Bear, directed by the very talented Elizabeth Banks, who I've always been a fan of. Which is so
weird for when you think about it, that she directed this. Yeah. I mean, yeah, she directed one of the Pitch Perfects, but like still, like this is like such a goofy, crazy, zany movie. You figure, it's so weird that she took this on, but she knocked it out of the park.
Yeah,
in terms of the effort.
It makes sense in terms of her comedy background.
Yes.
but it's a weird. Like it's a weird premise for to doing like a big budget feature, right? Because it seems like something you would see like on the Sci-Fi Channel or something. Long list of names. Yeah. This has a fairly big cast here. We got Kerry Russell, of course, as Sorry, Alden Ehrenreich. How do you say his name? Alden.
I called him Alden Reich, so I always butchered it.
Yeah.
But it's Ehrenreich.
Alden Ehrenreich, Eddie. O'Shea Jackson Jr. as David, Ray Liotta as Sid White. Ray Liotta's last film role, right?
Yeah,
Am I right in that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the last one.
Isaiah Whitlock Jr. is Detective Bob Springs. Brooklyn Prince as Dee Dee. Kristen Convery as Henry. Margot Martindale as Ranger Liz. Jesse Tyler Ferguson as Peter. Christopher Hivju as Olaf. Hopefully I said that right. Hannah Hoekstra as Elsa. And the synopsis here is an oddball group of cops, criminals, tourists, and teens converge on a Georgia forest where a huge black bear goes on a murderous rampage after unintentionally ingesting cocaine. And and I've seen so many reviews say this. This movie is exactly what you expect it to be.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with it.
What you want it to be, too.
Exactly,
that's the thing.
yeah.
Not what you just expect, but what you want it to be.
Yeah.
I was worried that it wasn't going to be all that I wanted it to be, but it was. So it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I did not... when I first heard about this movie, I thought it was a funny premise. I did not expect it to be even a blip at the box office. I thought it was just kind of it's kind of a funny, quirky plot line, but I did not expect it to become this kind of like a pop culture phenomenon that it became. And I'm very bummed I didn't see it in the theater, because I think this is definitely a theater movie.
We had, like, when Conan and I saw it, like, the theater was like just roaring, like it was one of those things. It was actually a Saturday afternoon, so it had a real lively, like, mixed crowd of young, old, and it was just like the whole theater was like into it, and that which is cool. So.
Yeah, I mean, these movies are made. A movie like this with such a goofy premise is made for crowd reaction, right? I mean, and this movie delivers on crowd reaction scenes because it doesn't shy away from the gore. I'm not saying it's a super gory movie, but it's when the violent stuff hits, it really hits hard, and it's extreme enough that it works in the context of the humor. Like, it's not like there's enough humor in it that it comes off as kind of just like in the Hatchet movies, where it's almost so extreme that it's funny versus like horrifying. So now, as a counterpoint, like, my dad saw this movie and he hated it. He absolutely hated it because he wasn't expecting the gore and stuff. He's not a horror movie guy. So he goes into it and he sees, like...
Yet he throws this amazing Halloween party, which
I
is
know.
kind of funny.
It is funny. He's not a horror movie guy. He loves Halloween, but he does not watch horror movies. And what's funny, too, is he loves Stephen King. He loves Dean Koontz. He loves, like, horror books, but he does not watch horror movies.
Maybe he just doesn't like gore is what it is.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, so he was very turned off by the violence and the gore in this, which is one of the parts that I absolutely love, because you could have made this movie in a PG way and not had any of that gore, but I don't think it would have worked nearly as well, because this, like we've always said, we said it in our last interview, a good horror comedy needs to go all out on the horror. Like, you got to have that gore in there to offset the comedic stuff, or else you're just making a comedy. And
this one had even more. Like, it had it was an action, horror, comedy, kind of based off a true story, no less, and it's like, so it's cool. Yeah, and I mean, there was a couple of like true, like, good gore moments too that, like, definitely, like, rival a lot of good horror movies filled with that. So that was kind of fun, and it has, like, it was well done. It was like, and like, yes, like Tim said, it was over the top, very, very Hatchet-esque. Like, and actually the kind of the thematic elements of this kind of reminded me of those Hatchet movies a little bit. Especially the first one, where they're all trapped in one location and just things, and there's something going on, and they're all like, they all get converged in, and it's a basic, if you think about it, it's a very basic plot point. How do you get your characters, like, you have a bunch of characters, but how do you get them all towards a central location, all kind of heading towards that certain spot where they're all going to intertwine and be kind of against the same, like, antagonist, and that's what they do. It definitely has that, like, that vibe of it, of the Hatchet movies. And the only thing different, I think, is that there wasn't like an urban legend kind of thing going on, but or anything supernatural, but still, same vibe.
I think part of that vibe is because all the characters, you get, like, little funny tidbits of their life to make them more relatable. Like Isaiah Whitlock, he's got this little dog that doesn't match his type of a detective. He's like this little frou-frou little fancy dog. Yeah. And that's
so like good in this, by the way.
Oh, he's like one of the highlights of this. But
he's one of my favorite people, like, in movies.
But he has this little dog, so that's like his little funny plot line going. And then you have Margot Martindale, who's always great in everything, and she's kind of got like the this flirtatious nature to her that's kind of makes her character funny. So all the characters have like this little gimmick that they throw in to like make them really relatable, which helps them be a little less two-dimensional when stuff starts going down. So I really liked that part of it. But I also liked that even with all that and all the humor and stuff, you still felt like everybody was kind of in danger. Like you still felt like anybody could die at any time, which I thought was fantastic.
Yeah, in fact, there were a couple of characters which I did not think were going to make it. Made it. Some people I thought were going to make it didn't make it. So,
and great kid actors in this one as well. I give them props for that. Yeah, they were. Really good.
The daughter kind of almost reminded me a little bit like almost like an accelerated version of the Psycho Gorman like girl, like the sister, like kind of reminding me of her.
Very much so. Yeah, very much so.
So and of course another one we really enjoyed. Kind of similar vibe in terms of like that 80s kind of style, gore and violence a little bit. In this one there's just certain sequences like Kerry Russell to me is like just like she's one of the ones that truly like go in like and like gave 180%.
Like, you know what's weird about movie. Kerry Russell is like, so I'm old enough that I remember when Kerry Russell was a teenager, right, and playing teenager type roles. But she made that transition, and I never felt like for some reason, I don't feel old when I see her playing a mom. Like, I think she's just so natural. I think we
grew up with her. That's why she kind of went along with us.
Yeah, like some of these actresses that were played in these teen movies, like back in the 90s, and I see them playing a mom, and I go, oh my God, I'm so old. But her, for some reason.
Like Alicia Silverstone. Like, remember when we saw her in, what was that movie, The Lodge?
Yeah,
remember we were like,
oh my
that's
God,
her?
yeah.
Why? But we're so old.
But for some reason, Kerry Russell, I don't know if there was like a smoother transition. I don't know why. I don't have the reasoning for it. But when I see her play,
she doesn't look like she's aged. Maybe that's why. Also, I'm not trying to criticize someone's looks. I'm just saying she literally looks almost the same.
Yeah, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know, but I feel so now, and I think she does such a great mom job. She's a perfect. Like I always judge. I got a weird thing where I judge like screen moms. Like for some reason, like there's certain moms that I'm like, oh, okay, she plays like a really good screen mom. And this one, I'm like, I'm not so great. This one, I think she just always does such a great role playing mom.
Well, we all know the number one screen mom.
There's only one.
Yes.
And that, of course, is the great Dee Wallace. She is my number one movie mom.
Oh yeah, easily. If they're and she's probably like everybody's like movie mom. So.
But yeah, so I really enjoyed this one. Again, would I have liked it better in the theater? I have no doubt. And it's not that I didn't enjoy it, but while I was watching it, I was going, dang it, this would have been so much better in the theater. Like I would have loved to hear the reaction to this because I thought it was good. I wasn't like, oh my God, top of the world, blown away by it like I was expecting. Doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. Doesn't mean I wasn't highly entertained. But I wasn't completely blown out of the water, and that's because I didn't see it in the theater. I was watching it by myself.
Yeah, and I remember always there was this. So this is going to be a weird segue slightly, but there was a movie, one of Albert Brooks's movies. I think it was Lost in America, where the whole opening is like literally this like while like the credits are rolling and they're kind of zooming through his house. I think he's going. There's this like a radio interview with Rex Reed, the film critic, playing. And they go through this whole thing, and they're interviewing him, and he's like, well, he goes, I like to see a movie in the morning when I'm fresh. And they said, like, what about movies that need an audience, a comedy? He goes, I don't need I don't have a movie wants funny, I'll laugh, kind of thing. So it's like, I've kind of always, like, for some reason that stuck with me where I'm like, if a movie's good enough, you could, it'll carry its own, you don't need to see it in a crowd. However, a caveat to that is, when this movie, and it probably goes back a little what you said, kind of like post-pandemic, if these are events and stuff like that, but a movie like this that was almost had this event undertone to it, that it was like there were scenes where were almost like I felt like were made for big audience reactions, and there were probably just some in there that they threw that in, and and that's a credit to Elizabeth Banks, because I think she had enough confidence in her movie that she said, okay, you know what, I know this is going to play in theaters. I know this is going to get big crowds, and I know people are going to be screaming, talking about it, laughing, all the above kind of thing. And so I think that's, but there is a difference, I think, in this case where, like, yeah, seeing in the theater, I think for the first time, definitely adds that. Like, because like I said, when Cone and I were in the theater, I mean, people were screaming and laughing and reacting like so loud and raucous, and it's like it kind of went along with the movie's vibe to it. So I think there is times when a theater will, of course, I mean, you want to see a big blockbuster in the screen, big screen also. I'm not just counting that part. I'm talking about the actual crowd. Because, I mean, who wouldn't want to see it on that kind of screen, even, by yourself? But still, the crowd in certain times, certain movies are just made for crowd things. You want to see it. Like, same like watching a sporting event at home. Sometimes it's just not the same, But like when I watch it, I like to crank up the sound so I can hear the crowd, so it feels like I'm there,
I mean, imagine watching like an exciting basketball game or something. My sport's basketball, so I'm going to use basketball as an example. But if I was watching like Duke Carolina, which is a huge rivalry, if I'm watching that by myself, it's a lot different vibe than watching it in a sports bar where you got 100 people in there cheering and booing. I mean, it's a completely different vibe. There's that communal aspect of movies that is part of the movie going experience. And sometimes, unfortunately, we focus on the negative sides of that, where we go, these people were loud and blah, blah, blah. But some movies, it works to have that noisy crowd, and this is one of those movies where it kind of is a positive thing to have that community.
On horror is one of those ones where it's tough because, if you get like one like a Hereditary and you hear people laughing and chuckling in there, it kind of takes you out of the mood. But like when you're watching Scream 6 and you hear people screaming and go, oh, that works. But like horror movies are like we just said. There's a million different little subgenres, and can you imagine like someone like literally like you said, like when you saw The Quiet Place, every candy wrapper distracts you, or imagine watching Skinamarink. I can't even imagine watching Skinamarink in the theater, to be honest with you. I think it would drive me crazy if I heard one person like commenting, because they'd be the one in there. What is this? What kind of movie is this? I don't know. What happened? What did they say? I'd be like, that's it. Well, Skinamarink, I'm sorry, but like I don't think I could ever watch that in the theater. That movie to me is like iPad, computer, or darkened room of your own.
That's how I watched. I watched it in a dark room with my headphones on by myself, and that's and I liked it because of that.
Yeah, because
I mean, we've watched enough movies. You just innately know this is a crowd movie. This is a at home by myself in the dark movie. I mean, you get to know which of these, even if you haven't seen the movie before, you kind of can get the feel for the tone and everything about where the best optimal viewing experience would be.
Yeah. And I think that's what one of the things is, like, I think that's why what Joe Bob did, and that was so magical, is he basically, because with his tweet-alongs and Last Drive-Ins being these, like, 5-hour plus experiences on Friday nights, which, of course, by the way, Joe Bob starts this coming Friday, which is very exciting. That kind of he found a way, in today's society to bring a whole bunch of people together to kind of watch something all they're in their own homes, but you felt like you were watching it along with thousands of people, and it's great. And so that's just so like stuff like that. There's kind of ways to kind of do something like that. Like imagine, I think like a great thing would be like almost like a if you had like you got to like he did the Last Drive-In Live. He has his tour, but imagine he did the Last Drive-In Lives, like going to places, and he hosted the double features and kind of stopped the movie.
That would be so cool.
Like something like that would like, I mean, you wouldn't get tickets for that. It'd be like Taylor Swift level for the horror community. Quickly, one thing, because you mentioned about the sports thing, I will say, Tim, this year is different. In the first round of the playoffs, I will be rooting with you for your Carolina Hurricanes because they're playing the New York Islanders, which is my nemesis, being a New York Ranger fan. So while I'll be rooting for my Rangers to beat Cone's New Jersey Devils, I will be rooting for your Carolina Hurricanes to beat the New York Islanders. I don't know where Ken falls in all of this. I don't think he's a Capitals fan or anything. Maybe he's a Bruins fan. I don't know. Gotta ask him. I don't know where he stands on it.
I don't understand hockey at all. So I think I've watched maybe one hockey game in its entirety in my entire life. I don't know if I even understand the rules completely.
Yeah, so I think I need to teach you. I think I need to teach you the world of hockey at some point.
I think
because it is very exciting, and you happen to have a really good team. This is the time to get into it when you got a team to watch, Now,
like I guarantee you, if
you got a bad hockey team, it's excruciating. Let me tell you.
If I saw it live, I'm sure it would be awesome. I would love to go to a Hurricanes game.
It's fun.
So
anyway, sorry, little segue, but yeah, to wrap it up, we'll wrap it up. Yeah, so Cocaine Bear is definitely one of those fun movies. I mean, it's probably a fun movie to watch with a group of friends, even if you can't if you didn't see it in the theater.
Yeah, I would say you're still going to have a good time even if you watch it by yourself. But if you can get a group of people together to watch it, even better. I would say even better.
I'd love to see Joe Bob discuss this, actually.
Yeah,
just see him like, Cocaine Bear. Yeah. Like cocaine food, bear food.
Bear food. So, Brian, what beer pairing should I say?
This is a bear pairing, actually, and don't think I didn't go that route 100%. And not only did I find a beer pairing, but I found a brewery pairing along with it. So it's from the Wooden Bear Brewing Company in Greenfield, Indiana, and it's Hoppy Bear IPA. And so Hoppy Bear is an IPA with a floral bouquet with a citrus accent, has a malty undertone brewed with 3 different American hops, lending strong hop flavor aroma that is balanced with several sweet and toasted malt characters.
That's a cute name for an IPA, Hoppy Bear.
I know, Hoppy Bear.
Yeah.
But if people know, IPAs are not so, they're very good IPAs, nice and piney. It's got a little bite to it, so very appealing to this movie. I think.
Very
it really
appropriate.
Fits well, yeah.
We have a great fan topic food question this week, and it's a very simple one.
This is off a new list, by the way. I found another list I saved that has a whole bunch of ones like from movies and just other things that because we could eventually branch out into other kind of since we this has always been our segment of a little bit like get to know Tim and Brian kind of thing, little off topic type of thing. So I found a whole list of 100 question kind of things that,
these are fun.
I can pull off of.
Yeah, these ones you've gotten off these lists are fantastic.
Yeah.
So this one is if you could see one movie again for the first time, what would it be? I think I know Brian's answer, maybe.
Well, so this is tough. I mean, part of me. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm a little torn. One of them I would say, of course, like Star Wars, the original Star Wars, because
that was my guess.
Oh, was it?
No, that was my guess for what you would have said.
Yeah. So it was, and and the reason why I'm torn is because I think I've told the story. I wanted to go see it with my mom, at the time with my mom. She couldn't take me, so she had the babysitter take me, and I was going in complete. Even though I wanted to see it, I was completely being a brat and defiant, and I made us. And I know she wanted to really see it too, so I made her I put up kind of a stink, and we left in the beginning of it, and. So, but the thing is, I kind of still was getting the figures and I couldn't wait to see it. So then as it was still in the theaters, a couple of months later, my dad took me to see it. And after that, it obviously became one of my favorite movies of all time. So I feel bad saying that because it's a little, I have to put a caveat to this because it's not that I wanted to because I don't want to take away the experience I had with my dad going to see it,
right.
taking me to see Star Wars. And so it's hard because a lot of times my first movies, they had some kind of almost like a that kind of undertone with it. It was who I went to see it with, or who took me to see it. So it's I don't want to take away that memory of it. So I think I'd have to try and go a little bit differently. I'd have to think of a movie that maybe just had more of an impact on me without a person attached to it.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I'm trying to it's almost one of the you have to almost go along those lines of the movies that kind of just blew you away, and even though when you see it.
Well, I think there's two ways you could go. You could say I want to experience this movie blew me away, and I want to experience that again. You could take that take to it, or you could take the take where I think my first viewing of this. I didn't fully appreciate it like I should have, and I would like to see it again to redo that experience to make it as impactful as it could be. I can see two ways you could go on this. Now, for me personally, I went the second option, but I'll let you finish.
I mean, in all honesty, I think maybe it would be something. It'd still probably be a Star Wars movie. I mean. Maybe even Empire Strikes Back, because to me that was I told my mom's at the time. I mean, it was kind of a boyfriend kind of friend at that point. He was a big Star Wars fan too, and he took me out of school. My mom was able to pull some strings. I got to go out of school and see it opening day, and that was the first movie I had seen opening day. And the excitement of seeing like The Empire Strikes Back, it was a sequel to Star Wars, which was my favorite movie of all time at that point, and it was just so much fun and stuff like that. And so it's like, to me, I think it would be more like pretty much like every Star Wars movie kind of. I know it might be a cheat, but every Star Wars movie again to see it for the first time, because it's been such an an impact to my movie going experience. I know I mean. To me, also, I could almost like break this up into genres too. Like, you know what? Like, I still remember the first time I saw Friday the 13th, and it was like so memorable because I had never seen a horror movie with that kind of like, that kind of gore before. I mean, I had seen, sure, by that point, I think I had seen Halloween. I had seen maybe a couple of other ones, but the gore wasn't the same back then. That true good old 80s gore like that they had. From Friday the 13th, like something like that would be up there too. But I think if I had to like be pinned down to say one, it would probably literally be like every Star Wars movie. I'd want to see it for the first time again because of that magic and the excitement and the build up. And then, it's like when you finally get to see it, there's this like excitement that like, and it's like that's why it's like when I heard they announced the new three more Star Wars movies coming to the theater, I'm like, especially one with starring with Daisy Ridley in it, I'm like super excited because like now I know in 2 years when it comes out, I'm like there's this 2-year build up of excitement again with the trailers and the little leaks and all that stuff. I can't wait. So, yeah. Sorry, I rambled on, but
no, mine is I was thinking about this because my first inclination was to kind of do like you and say, okay, I want to see something again for the very first time that was just blew me out of the water. But I kind of went a different route on this one. I think I'd like to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre again for the first time. And the reason why is the first time I watched that movie was on VHS, and I was young. Like I was early teens. And that was when I was going through that period where I was watching everything. Like my mom had no limits to what we could rent from, because VHS rentals were kind of new, so she didn't really care what we rented. Like it was great. We go rent movies and y'all are off my back for a night. That's great. So she would let us rent whatever. So we would go through like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. We're going just churning through these series. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we rented. And I watched it, but it was at a time where I didn't like watching older movies. I was still, that kind of kid brain where you're like, oh, that's old. I don't want to watch that kind of thing.
Yeah, like it's so funny when the kids have that like I was the same way. It's like, why do you want to watch something old? I want to watch new.
Yeah, like
in bright color.
Yeah, there was a time where I would not even watch a black and white movie. Like I refused. I would not watch a black and white movie. And so this movie comes out in its 70s. Now, of course, at the time, this was in the 80s. It wasn't that far removed from the current time I was watching it, but it still felt old. And of course, that movie, looks old. So I didn't appreciate it at all. Like it didn't make any impact on me whatsoever. Like when I first watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, it wasn't until years later when I bought it on DVD and I watched it with full surround sound and sat down in my room and that was when my love of Texas Chainsaw Massacre was real. So to me, that would be the movie I'd want to watch again for the first time. Like knowing what I know now, knowing how impactful it is, I would love to see that again with my horror brain now fully matured and be able to see it again. Now, who's to say? Maybe it wouldn't be as impactful. I don't know. It's a little double-edged sword. You don't know, now that you know everything, all your experience, would it be a letdown because you've been so hyped for it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
well,
kind of fun to
another
think about.
one. It actually you spurned another one into my brain here. Or spawned, I should say, not spurned. Spawned another one to my brain. Technically, the first time I think when I saw Halloween, the original, I saw it when it was on network television, so it was a little cut. So maybe that might have been worth going to see because I remember it was on a Friday night, and I went out. The babysitter was home, and we watched it. It was on, I think, Channel 11 at the time. So there was obviously, the original Halloween. In all honesty, other than the couple of nudes, the couple of nude scenes, really it's pretty tame nowadays. There wasn't a lot of bloody sequences and stuff, and so I think that would have been fun to see it like in its full entirety, but for the first time again. So, but I mean, still, like, it's just a kind of a side pick for that. But
All right, well, that was I hope you guys enjoyed that return to our normal episodes. We will try to get a little bit better on target for the remainder of the year.
Well, I think definitely May will be fully back on track.
Yeah, we'll be back on track.
You're gone at the end of the month. You have a little travel, which might throw off the last month of April, but we'll try and get we should have your dismemberment on time, and we'll try and get that con recap, because some people, I'm sure, are dying to know. And I don't want us to forget some of the great stuff.
I know, we had some great stuff, so we'll try to get that for you soon.
Cone doesn't forget anything, so his brain is like a vault. It's all in there.
It's like a steel trap. Yeah,
it is. He remembers everything. But I did save like a lot of all the business cards I took, but like that's where I don't want to forget. Like I already know. Like I want to make sure we talk about the vendor where we got those cool shirts from and stuff like that. So I'm gonna start maybe this week, if I get a moment, I'll start jotting stuff down again. Kind of remember. Of course, all our little like fun moments, like with gotta remember all the restaurant things, or our meals, or miniature golf, which I do have the scores still, because that was saved on Google Docs.
That's the kind of stuff you definitely don't want to forget. It's like, because that's the stuff that's easy to forget, is the meals and the restaurants and that kind of thing. So.
And really, that was some of my favorite moments, because it was all four of us just hanging out, drinking, eating, enjoying, and like it really made for fun. Like remember, you were like hesitant going into the con, and you actually said you actually may have enjoyed this one more than the year before because of all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I want to thank everybody's patience for this month. I know it's been all over
mostly
the place.
My fault, not Tim's.
No, I mean, but I think we've done pretty good for you being in the middle of a move, because moves are incredibly stressful. But at least I hope you guys appreciate that we did get a little something out every week. I think if nothing else, a little bonus interview or something just to keep you tide you over. Sorry we didn't have any regular episodes for such a long stretch there, but we're getting back to some normalcy here. So we'll see you soon.
And May will be back on track, and towards the end of May we'll probably, or I don't know. No, I guess June we'll start the summer staycation.
We'll start earlier this year. I know we started really late last year. I don't think we'll do that this year. I think we'll be able to start it on time.
What was last year? What was the last year's reason we started so late?
Yeah, I don't remember. It was a huge. With the Universal Monsters, of course, it was huge. That was one part of it, but there's some reason we started very, very late. I don't know if it was travel or something, but
I'm trying to think, because I don't know where did you go away or I went away last year? I can't remember.
Oh, I know I went to Gen Con. Maybe that's what it was. That was part of it. Yeah, we waited until after Gen Con.
Yeah, because I don't know if I went anywhere in particular. Like, then I'm trying to think. It was Memorial Day. Did I go somewhere? I don't know. Who knows anymore? Tim and I are getting up there in age. We don't remember everything anymore.
We're lucky to get a show out every week. So
seriously,
But we'll try to start like in June this year, and we'll get it all fully done over the summer. And this is not going to be like a super super long one. I'm not going to give any hints as to what we're covering.
Yeah, but it'll be this typical 8 weeks. Like
it's not going to be. This is going to be like kind of an old school summer staycation. It's not going to be like 20,000 Puppet Master movies or It's gonna be more.
I think the one franchise, I guess, could be a hint. I think that's the only one was like 8, right? That's the most.
I think that was the biggest was 8. Yeah.
I think one is 8, one is 5, one is 3 or 4.
Yeah, they're none of them are crazy.
So. And for the first time, we're hoping to have actually a guest come on during one of these summer vacations.
Oh man, I hope that happens.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually message said person. I'm not even gonna say the gender. I'm just gonna say said person this time, so I don't even give anything away. I'm gonna contact them, and
that would be a first. Get an actual guest, and I'm talking a guest who appeared in one of the summer vacation movies.
Yes.
Not even better. Like that's a huge get right there. So
so we hope to have that set up, and that'll be add extra even more flair to this cool summer vacation idea we got.
All right, guys. We'll see you back here next week. Take care.
See ya.